How does one define the ever-changing sea? The water cycle drifts puzzle pieces away and relocates them into the land or a different body of water. I am no different. I take disliked memories and submerge them in the pitch-black water of my soul. I save myself from moving on, from acceptance. Ignorance is my bliss. The tip of my iceberg is less than 1% of what I am. Who would stick around to embrace the rest? Diving into the deep end is not wise for inexperienced people. The sea is an attraction to tourists and lovers alike. A tourist will sit on the beach and watch the waves crash against the shore, filling them with a fresh hit of salty ocean air and wet sand. Lovers will walk up and down the beach, stare at the sea, and wonder where their deep love will lie. Lovers will ponder their love life and cement their feet in the sand, waiting for the salty cold waves to drag the sand underneath their feet. Lovers want to be swept off their feet, similar to the sand being swept out to sea. I have always been a lover, feet in the sand, but I let the wrong wave sweep my sand out to sea. He was one that preferred the shallows. He could never handle my depth. All the while he masked that, covering it all up with a charming smile and a childish, fun-loving personality that made me swoon. I had found my Prince Charming, and he was no more than a hurricane over my rowboat of love in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He was God, in the sense that he created all of my problems. He ripped a hole in my boat, leaving me to the sharks. Each tooth was a different insult, each bite was a different fight, and each limb was a different piece of my soul. There was nothing left to do but drown. In the end, you saved me by leaving and never returning. It was almost as if a riptide pulled you further into the depths while I was pushed ashore. By then, I had no idea where to be. There I stayed beside all I could remember. I no longer knew who I was. I stuck with the water and let it teach me who I was now. The ocean saved me from drowning by letting me float how my boat once had. I drowned, but I left my shell and became a mermaid. Some would argue siren. During the day, I'm an alluring mermaid with beautiful blue eyes and blue hair to match. At night, I'm a temptress, a dark blue siren that searches for a body to trap down in the depths with my carcass. Who could stand to be lonely in such a romantic place? I crave company. I crave a soulmate, my soulmate. I crave the man I thought he was. I crave an affliction that only stable-headed girls receive. Even then, our generation is all about protecting themselves from pain and misery. As for those who still believe, they lie beneath my corpse. At least I knew what fate had in store for me. The waves still struck me hard. Waves whirling me into a tornado of anger. The waves whipped me around as if I were a fine Italian leather belt that could never break. In the process, I was whipped and lashed as I tried to reach the surface. I drowned in my own destructive tendencies and ruined my chance at everything I have ever wanted. Once I was off the edge of the reef, I held nothing but fear. Anxious to see what would crawl up from the dark abyss to take me further down into the nightmare I had become. Somewhere in the process of being pulled out into open water and being dragged down into the dark depths, I lost my will to live. I no longer saw it as a fair fight. I no longer wanted to reach the surface. I wanted to enjoy being a bottom feeder and sink myself into the sand and make my way to hell. I thought if I went far enough down, I would break my last string of hope and be done with it. I was stuck on the sandbed at the bottom of the open sea, close to the core of life, yet much lower than where I had started reconstruction. The sharks were long gone. My demons were celebrating their win. I would not be able to tell if it was storming. I was too deep to even be blue anymore. I was black and enveloped in darkness. I had not truly started reconstruction. I had simply continued sinking until I hit rock bottom. Now I could reconstruct. Except I held off for a long, long time. Only when I realized no man could fix what he and I had done did I truly start to rebuild myself into a better person. It took time, long, tiring months that dragged into a year. I bettered myself, occasionally tipping over the edge of the reef every once in a while. Then I met him. The one that would better me while I bettered him. The one that would fill my deepest and darkest needs and desires, and I would fill his. He will be the one to give me everything I desire. I cannot imagine anything feeling righter than he does. He is perfectly mine, and I am perfectly his. I cannot imagine losing him. I have always had two events that would drive me to a point lower than the one I had been at. Never being able to have a child and not staying true to my dreams. He has joined that list. If I lost him, I could never be whole again. The water that leaves me in the water cycle leaves holes in my puzzle that he fills the best he can, and he is the perfect fit for every blank space. I am no longer a weak pond or a river or simply a bay. He has driven me to be the ocean. I am mighty, strong, mysterious, beautiful, and most of all, alluring. I am truly the gorgeous blue waves.
Her body's gold like September. She burns through the night like an ember. And all those things we try forgetting, I remember. But we say we all fine, we all fine. Sunny day dreams.